This time, on episode 225 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we talk Legion Chapter 18, we talk weekly Marvel news, and we talk your feedback.
I'm Metal Matson from Super Geeky Playdate, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. Just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Alfonso Mack Mackenzie. Stand by for a S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. This show is recorded on Sunday, September 23rd, 2018, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast astral plane wide via www.geeks.live. Come on by and join our chat room. Ladies, happy National Restless Day Awareness.
I think you mean Restless Legs Awareness Day.
I did, and yes.
Bisexual Awareness Day.
It is, but if you live with somebody that has restless leg syndrome, it is something that really affects everything because the person can't sleep with anybody without kicking them, and a lot of times they don't get a lot of sleep. So it is, in fact, something that is estimated to affect something like 20 to 25% of the population.
Yeah, so if you think you have restless leg syndrome, you should check it out. And remember, if you are bisexual, you have a disadvantage on your stealth rolls today because it is Bisexual Visibility Day.
Yes. All right, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the multiple Marvel Netflix series, Legion on FX, as we will be discussing today, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Marvel comic book universes in general.
Because of fishing with bunnies.
If you'd like to talk to us about using bunnies as bait, you can find us on our website, legendsofshield.com.
If you have fishing tips, you can leave us a voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
If you have a fish story, you can tell it to us on our Facebook at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can find us on Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can see our pretty faces talking about fishing at youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
If you have an Amazon device, you can tell it to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
Our agent Haley is off for the week. She had something with a dinosaur in the desert, and I'm not sure what happened there, but she has been granted a day off. She will be back next week, hopefully. Maybe not. There might be another dinosaur or something like it involved next week. I don't know. Ladies, did you talk to Haley?
No.
Okay. So I was the only one who received said dinosaur message, which was really cryptic. So hopefully we'll hear back from her next week on what that was. In the meantime, let's get on to our main topic, and that would be Legion. We'll be talking Chapter 18 of Legion this week. Chapter 18 aired Tuesday, June 5th, 2018 on the FX network and earned a 0.467 rating, which is pretty healthy for this show. Legion, by the way, was renewed for a third season on June 1st, 2018, so we will be seeing another season of Legion. By the way, this is the penultimate season 2 episode, just one more left. Now, Lauren, who directed this episode?
This episode was directed by Dana Gonzales, who has 4 directing credits starting in 2011, including one of Pretty Little Liars in this episode of Legion. But they are not exactly a newcomer to the film scene. They actually have 22 credits as cinematographer, including 5 episodes of Legion, 11 episodes of Fargo, 5 episodes of Longmire, et cetera, and 70 credits as camera and electrical department, usually as director of photography, camera operator, first assistant camera. So this is somebody who knows visual style. And that's something you kind of need on a show like this. Some shows you want somebody who knows action. This is one you kind of want somebody who knows visuals.
I was perusing the behind the scenes Twitter accounts for a lot of the shows that we follow on this show. And there was one tweet, and I forget which show it was, but it showed basically the wireless soundboard. It was basically a huge sheet of plywood that had all these wireless receivers just on them and then were labeled and stuff like that. So if you're involved in either the cinematography or the audio, I thought I had a difficult setup doing my little podcast mixer and stuff. Oh, no. You want a difficult job, join audio or video, the cinematography part of these shows. It's amazing. So my hat's off to you, especially with this show, because you're right. We got another little element of visual at the beginning, which we'll talk about when we get into the episode. In the meantime, Michelle, we had a couple of writers for this episode.
Yes, many of these episodes were written by this team. So the creators of the show, Noah Hawley and Nathaniel Halpern, wrote this one.
Right, and we have spoken about them at length over the past few episodes. Haley's not here to talk about the meaning of Chapter 18, so we're just going to skip that for the week, and it's probably going to be the same conversation that we had for the past few episodes as well, so we'll just hang on to that for next week with Chapter 19. In the meantime, let's talk about what happened with this episode. A lot of dark, and I almost want to say setup stuff, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes. So, Michelle, what's going on with David this episode?
What's interesting is that in the first episode of this season, Chapter 9, he says, don't kill Oliver because he's a hostage. Well, here we are. David finds the monastery after he realizes Sid is gone, and he finds Oliver, and he tortures Oliver to find Sid. It is very gruesome. In fact, when Melanie shows Sid what's going on, Melanie gets sick. This is the moment where we really see David as the monster. Melanie says we see his true face. Not only is he torturing Oliver, he's starting to blame Farouk for all of his problems, not really taking any responsibility for anything. And just, at the beginning of the episode, we see him in the chair in the hut with the crystal ball in the very comic book accurate, outfit. And then at the end of the episode, he's sitting in a chair that's almost similar to that. And he is contemplating all the ways he can kill Farouk. And he's actually enjoying thinking those thoughts.
And he admits it. He admits that, what worries me is I'm enjoying it. And that's worrisome when you're admitting it and then you're not doing anything about it. There's nobody that's really there to intervene with him, nobody to run an intervention. It's things could go off the rail really quick, as I believe, I'm trying to remember, in the previews for next week, there was a bunch of, and David becomes Legion. I think we're getting to the namesake of this show.
It's only been 2-3 weeks since the beginning of the season. We were just talking about that last week. And just that quick turnaround from don't kill him, he's a hostage, to torturing him really awfully. I don't know if you've ever seen Sons of Anarchy, but there's some really graphic torture scenes, especially in the early seasons of that show, that I had a hard time watching. And suddenly we're at kind of that level. He pulls out a power drill and he's going at it, and just awful.
What's double awful here is he's not really, not that it's right to begin with, but he's not torturing just Farouk. He is torturing Oliver, who is housing Farouk. So he's torturing two people by doing this. It's even worse.
Yeah,
Well, actually, Farouk's not in Oliver. David assumes Farouk is in Oliver. He doesn't realize until after Oliver collapses, when Oliver finally admits that Farouk is with Melanie.
Yeah, we find out that, Farouk has kind of jumped ship. So he's been just torturing Oliver this entire time. And I mean, I'm not saying it would be any better if Farouk was in there, but it kind of does make it double worse because he has been torturing just his friend this entire time on the assumption that Farouk has been controlling him. And there's been a lot written about the psychology of torturers and a lot written about the psychology of people who just go along with torture because they assume that they're doing the right thing. And knowing that we're seeing our protagonist and we should be rooting for him, especially there's a lot about the post 9/11 psychology of particularly Americans and the whole Jack Bauer ticking time bomb torture argument. And we've kind of been trained in our entertainment to accept a certain amount of that. And right here, we're seeing our protagonist gruesomely torture somebody who, if you've ever watched Flight of the Conchords or What We Do in the Shadows or just so many movies, Jermaine Clement he's the funny guy. He's the non-threatening guy. That's kind of why it was sort of brilliant to cast him as this secondary antagonist in the past season. And it was extremely uncomfortable. It's really awful. And especially to find out, David was enjoying this. It's that whole question of what would you do if someone you love was in danger? And a lot of us talk a lot of big talk about, if somebody did something like this, I'd beat him up. I'd hurt him. But then if you are ever in this situation, most people don't do stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where stuff like this happens, or not necessarily someone you love's in danger and you have to torture, the mind demon that used to live inside you, but say somebody that you were close to was killed by another person and you have the opportunity to be near them and stuff like that. Most people don't go there and attack them or try to hurt them, stuff like that. You kind of trust that there's a higher authority that's going to do that. And the fact that David is taking that into his own hands and enjoying it, we are finding out a little bit more about his true nature. And it's unsettling and upsetting, especially what we find out from future Sid.
Yeah, Farouk is no saint. I mean, he's had issues along the way. He's done terrible, terrible things, but it's just not the society that we're in. We're not into that sort of retribution, and we're not into this torture. So this is a whole thing off the rails. And that David, while planning this episode 2 episodes ago, that he has known all along that this is exactly what he wanted and where he was going to end up at the end. So this is all premeditated. This is not like spur of the moment. He knew that he'd be doing this stuff. So very, very creepy and unsettling. Michelle, we have Sid, who gets caught by the rabbit trap, and then Melanie, aka Farouk, is basically opening her eyes to everything that's going on with David. How did she come out of this episode?
Well, it's very interesting watching Sid, because there's those snippets from that conversation that she had with Clark. David is a good person. He just doesn't know. And that's what she's going through, but he's a good person, but she's seeing all of these things that Farouk is able to show her. He replays that whole when Sid says there's no secrets between us, right? And then finds out David kissed Lenny, David hooked up with future Sid. And then she learns that future Sid actually is admitting that David becomes the villain. She goes through a lot in such a short amount of time. Her world is like kind of fractured in a bit.
Big time. And she's without a glove too, so I can't help but think that that might be effect in the next episode, because her superpower is changing bodies. So that could come into play next episode as well. You've seen it. The rest of us have not, so don't give us any spoilers, but I'm just pontificating there. We also have Melanie, who has Farouk inside her, and she's doing all this stuff, but she releases the Minotaur, and that's pretty scary in of itself, because, kill the weak, basically, or I forget exactly the words that were said. But Lauren, what's going on with the Minotaur?
I honestly don't know. I will say that visually, this show is amazing. We have the Minotaur being this twisted, like, it's on like a scooter, and it's wearing arm braces, and it's sort of this starving looking, very pained, like it's moving in this really pained way. And then we see it when she's, kind of, I guess, feeding it, or I don't know what's going on, but that's what it reminded me of. It's bulking up, and it's healing, and it's out of the braces, and it's out, like it's busting through the bandages, and the horn is regrowing. And yeah, she does tell it, kill the weak.
And the Minotaur goes after Sid, and Sid's like, no, I've got this, because Carrie with the K was there. But no, I've got this. And she fights the Minotaur, and the Minotaur actually is winning, right? Did I get that wrong? The Minotaur won that fight?
The fight is still going on at the end of the episode.
But to me, it looked like the Minotaur had the upper hand at the end of it. And I'm very worried for Sid, because I'm trying to remember what it looked like when she picked up the rabbit. And the second I saw the rabbit with the fish hook through it, I don't know if you've ever been fishing, if you've ever used live bait, but you don't just sit a worm or whatever you're using at the end of the hook. It's not like in the cartoons. You have to spear through it. And I stopped fishing because I started feeling bad for my bait. Like, I used to think I was being haunted by the spirit of the minnows that I was using as bait.
Yeah. So that's an important part. That whole thing with the rabbit, that kind of creeped me out, because I do fish, and I'm like, oh man. And the rabbit was still alive. Of course, this is all, some weird, almost vision.
I saw the fish hook, and she picked it up. I'm like, oh no, it's bait. And she got speared through. Correct me, but the hand that she gets pulled through, is that the same hand, like on the same side that she loses her arm?
That's what I was assuming. Yeah, that's what happened. Either that, or it got damaged in the fall. But I was assuming it was the hook. The whole time I'm looking at this, and it's very obvious that, a rabbit comes out of the hole with a hook. Somebody's fishing. You don't put yourself in a position where you're between the hole and the hook. I mean,
yeah, I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, clue number one: white animals appear very rarely as adults in nature, because it's easy for them to be prey. It's easy for them to get caught and killed. And Scott's behind me and is like, also, there's a giant bathroom drain plug in the middle of the desert. I'm like, also that. But anyway, that rabbit was very clearly bait. It is a non-naturally occurring rabbit. Anyway, so she's down there, and in this fight, I don't know if the Minotaur is going to like snap her arm off. I don't know if the fish hook is introducing some kind of infection. I don't know what's going on. I'm very worried for Sid.
Yeah, because future Sid is without the arm.
Yeah. Future Sid's without the arm. Future Sid knows that David is Legion Destroyer of Worlds or whatever. It's all very worrisome. And she saw just all the... Melanie was just, the devil on her shoulder, showing her all the bad stuff that David had been doing and was currently doing. And it was like, you remember, I guess it was earlier, I forget if it was this season or last season, but when Sid was showing her the bad stuff that she did, and David's like, I love you anyway. It's like that, but this is kind of, I feel worse.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause,
This is
yeah.
way worse. Yeah. We do get kind of a bonus here because Carrie with a K is kicking some butt. Now, she does get overwhelmed at the very end, but then she gets saved. But that was a great fighting scene. I really enjoyed that fighting scene. That was like the success fighting scene of the whole episode.
I do want to mention something about the scene real quick. There's a glance that she shares with Carrie with a C. And I realized I don't think he's ever seen her fight before because usually they kind of swap out.
Oh, yeah. They're not two different bodies. No, they've been apart before, but I don't think he's actually visualized it.
So this whole time he's been telling her, I'm worried for you. I'm worried for you. And now he's finally seeing her kind of able to take care of herself. And he knows, he's kind of known intellectually, yeah, she's strong.
But then he gets kidnapped and taken down the hole as well.
Yeah. So now she's coming to the rescue.
And Carrie with a K and Carrie with C, they were both rescued by Lenny, who comes up with the sniper rifle, which was out of the little case. It was one of those Doctor Who bags or whatever, where Mary Poppins bags, right? Where you have a whole bunch of stuff in there and way longer than what it should have been. Anyway, she comes along and she saves him because with the final two, she's overwhelmed. And Carrie or Lenny comes by and basically levels the playing field. And then Lenny says that she's staying there, and then Carrie with a K goes after Carrie with a C down the hole, and that's how that ends. You also have Clark with the Vermilions bringing out the long tuned fork, which is supposed to, as David mentions, is supposed to knock out all the mutant powers to make everybody just human for a while. But then that is actually sent away by Oliver, right?
No, Farouk.
It was Farouk that sends it away. Okay. Farouk sends it away. But then I think it was just meant to, in David's plan, to ferret Farouk out because David's right there waiting for him. And he's like, okay, here we go. So I think this was planned all along, but I don't know what the next 45, 50 minutes of show are going to give us next week. It's going to be fun.
Parts of David's plan, I'm pretty sure, are there as kind of a red herring, as a distraction for Farouk. So he thinks he knows the plan, but it's something completely different. And I think that tuning fork might have been one of those. Lenny saying she's getting the ultimate payback. I don't know if that is part of the plan or if that's a red herring of the plan. There's so much I don't know. I'm confused. I'm excited. I'm scared.
Yeah. Any predictions for next week, Lauren?
Lenny will continue to look amazing. Aubrey Plaza is rocking that outfit and hair. She continues to just be one of the standouts for me, and it's not just because I love Aubrey Plaza. Something's going to happen to one of the Carries, and I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, it's been foreshadowed all season.
Yeah, I don't know which one, but I'm very scared. Sid's going to lose her arm somehow. And David's going to end up with the spiky hair.
That's right. So, Michelle, you've already seen all the way to the end. Is there any storyline, don't give us any spoilers, but any storyline that you're really looking forward to continuing from this episode to next episode?
To next year?
To next episode.
Wait, you want me to say something about the next episode?
No, I don't want you to give any spoilers. I just want to say any of the storylines that were in this episode and the season to date. What are you looking forward to continuing to next episode?
Sid's, the whole thing about like what Sid showed David and what Sid told David that they should be fighting for and all that type of stuff, that the way that plays out in the next episode is interesting.
Okay. Looking forward to that. I think I was mildly spoiled because I was going and looking at the Legion FX Twitter account. So I think I know at least where it's headed, but I don't think that would be anything that I haven't surmised already watching the season. But I'm looking forward to watching the season finale next week and going into season 3 next year because we know it's been renewed. And that will be next Sunday. We will podcast on Legion Season 2, Episode 11, Chapter 19. In the meantime, Michelle, there's a bunch of other shows that people can go and listen to on the Gonna Geek Network, including one in particular, right?
Yes. We have a show called On the Bubble Podcast. Flash Forward, the blackout campaign to save ABC sci-fi drama Flash Forward. Many shows suffer from a lack of support from their own networks over a mid-season break. ABC's Flash Forward suffered both the aforementioned lack of support and also a much longer than normal break for the time. So that is the subject of On the Bubble Podcast.
I watched all of Flash Forward. Did either you two ladies watch Flash Forward?
I did not.
I gave it 2 episodes and I did not like it.
Yeah, I made it all the way to the end and I was like, this is really ABC's Terra Nova or Firefly, because they could have done a lot better with it, but it is what it is. Book, I hear, is amazing, so I would encourage you to go out, read the book, and listen to this episode of On the Bubble Podcast. It's time to get into the news.
Two words. Captain Marvel.
Really 3 words, Captain Marvel trailer. But yeah, it's awesome. I might have actually identified the cosplay that I'm going to go see the movie in just by seeing the trailer. And I'll leave that as a tease for the future.
I watched it multiple times. I love the fact that on the poster we get the cat. I didn't realize that till somebody pointed that out. Like, look closer. Like, the cat is there. Well, which is an alien, but whatever. Anyway, how many times have you watched the trailer, Lauren?
Oh, like 4. Another couple this morning.
This is the funnest Marvel movie or comic book hero movie that I have seen in a while. Deadpool, of course, rates up there, but I think this is going to be great on all levels. So I just can't wait to go out and see this. I think I've mentioned this before. I am planning on going to see opening night.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
ABC is also getting on board with showing more female superheroes.
Yes. So Alan Heinberg, who wrote the screenplay for the Wonder Woman movie, has been tapped by ABC to bring more female superheroes to the screen. They're going to do a female superhero team up, probably based on lesser known Marvel characters. So that's all the details that we have right now. Alan Heinberg also created and wrote Young Avengers, by the way, which I really, really love. It's the comic that introduced me to Jessica Jones, and I will love him forever for that. And just, yeah, Alan Heinberg, good dude, good writer. And I'm really excited. I really hope that now we finally get Kate Bishop on screen. We'll see. I don't know. Some people are guessing that it's going to be something like A-Force or something like Lady Liberators, Fearless Defenders. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious.
Something I'm very curious about is how Scarlet Witch and Loki can get their own shows.
So we've talked before that Marvel is getting its own streaming service. Well, it's Disney streaming. And apparently there's going to be a couple of limited series centered on popular Marvel characters. These series will likely include shows centered on Loki and Scarlet Witch. Marvel and Disney did not comment on Variety's article, but supposedly Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen are tapped. So I don't know if it's going to be animated or each series is expected to be 6 to 8 episodes. Kevin Feige is expected to take a hands-on role in their development. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious. Maybe they'll do like a Loki Agent of Asgard type thing. Maybe we'll get a Scarlet Witch thing kind of more along the lines of the comic that that was going a couple years ago, where it's Scarlet Witch just going and witching around the world, and it was really cool. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not going to watch the Loki series unless Brad Pitt is in it.
Or Matt Damon.
Both.
Yeah, both. It looks like a director's been chosen for the Eternals.
Yes. So we are getting more female director representation, which is always good because Hollywood has had a problem with that. Chloe Zhao has been tapped to do the Eternals movie, which we've talked about before. So Chloe Zhao has also done the indie movies The Writer and Songs My Brothers Taught Me. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm curious to see what her approach with this is going to be. I'm hoping it'll be something kind of small and, I don't know, heartfelt. But then again, Eternals, it should also be a big thing since it's cosmic level. So I don't know. I'm curious. I'm really curious. Eternals have never really been a favorite of mine, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. It couldn't be any worse than Inhumans, right, guys? Knock on wood.
I'm sure it can be worse, and I don't want to see
it. Yeah, well, I hope it's much better than Inhumans. And we started with Captain Marvel. We're going to end with Captain Marvel, and Brie Larson clapped back.
So, some idiot on Twitter, idiot MRA bro, said, I fixed Captain Marvel, and photoshopped smiles into all her pictures and stills from the trailer. For those of you who don't know, a frequent thing that's told to women is, you'd be so much prettier if you smiled more. To which my reply is to usually smile so wide that it's kind of terrifying, and just start smiling and keep smiling until they go stop, and then I smile a little more.
My God, stop it. Stop it. You're scaring me.
Be like that. But it's a thing, and it's kind of uniquely a thing against women. So this idiot did that. So somebody, Twitter user Jane Ritt, started editing horrible smiles into the male Marvel superheroes' faces. And they're all kind of terrifying and awful. So Brie Larson started putting those on her Instagram, and it's pretty great. And then, according to Uprocks, Larson wrote, breaking news, you can be you. That means you can smile or not. You can be strong in ways that you want to be. You can own who you are. If anyone tells you different, don't trust them.
Awesome.
Also unrelated, but still funny. Have any of y'all seen the thing that it's a meme that started out of the trailer? It's Captain Marvel punching an old lady.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's part of the trailer. Yeah.
I'm a meme. And it's like somebody says something, stare, punch. It's great. It's so great. It's like my new favorite GIF.
By the way, this was late breaking over the night. Ming-Na tweeted that, hey, I'm on this new series. I can't remember the name of the series. It's some ABC.
It's not a new series, but she's going to be in some episodes this coming season.
Yeah, but she was very, she wanted to enunciate the fact that she has not left Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She will be back. And she was just doing this in the meantime, too. So she will be back next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
To which Clark Gregg said, who's playing your husband? And Ming-Na said, Phil! Hashtag Philinda. It was very cute.
And the internet broke. So that's one of the reasons I mentioned that.
Yeah, but being fresh off the boat, definitely check it out. It's the first Asian-led sitcom since Margaret Cho's All-American Girl back in like the early 90s. It's hilarious. And Constance Wu, who is the mom on the show, was also in Crazy Rich Asians, which is fantastic.
I have yet to see that. It's just been a time thing. And you guys know me in movies.
Yeah.
Rarely get a chance to get out.
It is a romantic comedy that is fantastic.
I look forward to seeing it on Blu-ray at this point. All right, it's time to get in the feedback.
So, Lauren, why don't you take us through all the stuff that happened on Twitter?
Okay, so as usual, I picked 3 because you guys, you send us so much more than 3 a week, and I'm so happy to hear from you. But anyway, we're starting with @084, who said, "Is Cloak and Dagger coming after Legion?" So we're still discussing. I think our plan right now is Punisher.
That was our plan, yeah. But I actually viewed the first few minutes of Cloak and Dagger on demand on my DVR. I was like, we could possibly do this. So we'll be talking behind the scenes. It will be coming at some point in time in the future, I guess, because apparently it's such a great series.
Yeah, I have it on my DVR. I still haven't watched it because I've been busy. But I want to do all the shows, and The Gifted's coming back, and I still haven't caught up with it. And there's like a whole bunch of Marvel Netflix stuff that I still haven't caught up with. Guys, there's so much Marvel stuff. It's like a blessing, but it's also a curse.
It is, and we should have to try to limit it to the really cool stuff. The reason why we wanted to concentrate on the Netflix stuff is because technically it's supposed to be part of the MCU. But Cloak and Dagger, it's a good series. Just like we're covering Legion, why not go into that too? So we probably will at some point. I just don't know if it's going to be next or not. We'll have to talk to Haley. Remember, Haley controls our schedule. I have asked Haley, she hasn't responded yet, so we'll see.
Same Haley. Got it. So @Adana Girl said, "Can we please have Director Carter interacting with young Fury and Coulson?" That she tagged onto a retweet appreciation post for young Nick Fury and Phil Coulson. So remember a couple weeks ago when I was trying to figure out, like, oh, young Sam Jackson looks exactly like he did in some movie. That movie is The Negotiator from like 1995, I think. He looks like exactly like he does there. And we have Clark Gregg with marginally more hair.
Yeah, I think it was 90. It's somewhere around 95. I can't remember if it's 95 or 94. It's some mid-90s. It's when it's set at.
Yeah, I remember watching it at my 98. Wow.
Oh.
But yeah, I remember watching it at my aunt's house. But yeah, definitely appreciation posts for them, and I definitely want, Director Carter interacting with them. Can we please get that? Just all the Peggy Carter ever.
I'd be kind of surprised if that wasn't like a secret that they were able to keep for this, because that would just make it better. I mean, coming off of Infinity War and going into Avengers 4, this is the main movie, and it's actually going to lead right into Avengers 4. So I can't imagine them not want to do everything they can to pump it as much as they can. And seeing Director Carter, Agent Carter, whatever, on screen, either giving orders or kicking butt, that will be awesome. So what do we got next?
And then @Andy Migna said, "Some really have eagle eyes." And then retweeted /film, "Breaking, Captain Marvel's cat appears on the Captain Marvel poster." And yes, so in the comics, Captain Marvel has a cat named Chewie. And so in one of the newest trailers that just came out, I mean, not the newest trailer, the newest posters that just came out, the one that says higher, further, faster. And in the comics, there's also more, like as in higher, further, faster, more, which I embroidered on a pillow somewhere once. There's a little cat butt in the, as you're looking on it, the left side of the poster. And that is Chewie. He's actually a Flurkin, who is not really a cat. They just happen to resemble cats.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the inspiration for Honor Harrington's Tree Cats.
I'm wondering if it's actually, I don't know. There's the thing with sci-fi is there's always a lot of cross-pollination because fans of one thing start writing another thing. So it's always fun to try to figure out, okay, which of these came first? And did the other person read that thing?
Yeah, it could be. Could be totally independently derived from. Yeah. All right. Thank you for all the great feedback. My Twitter feed has been exploding the last few weeks. Thank you, everybody, for maintaining engagement with us. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to reading your tweets once again next week. In the meantime, we are going to jump down the hole and get this one out. Actually, I have to self-correct myself there. I have to wall jump down the hole to get this one out. There we go.
I forgot to mention when we were talking about it. Did anybody else get reminded of Labyrinth on this scene? Like when she's falling down, like that whole the tunnel with the hands and stuff in Labyrinth.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I was just thinking Alice in Wonderland. That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Aha, with an actual white rabbit.
Except for the white rabbit didn't go down the hole. It just came out of the hole.
How did we not see this?
I don't know. I thought it was pretty obvious, but okay. Thank you, everybody, for continuing to download and watch our stuff. We're now, by the way, live streaming on Periscope, so you can get us on audio only on Periscope, and that's through our Twitter feed. So thank you very much for Twitter for setting that up, and for the equipment and audio chain gods for making that possible. And I look forward to having Haley back next week, and I hope she had a good week.
Thank you very much for everybody who has been tweeting at us, who listens to us. We love hearing from you. And as a personal note, thank you, SP, for helping me out with some technical problems before the show.
It's not podcasting if it's not technical issues.
I would like to thank everyone for listening, and especially even suggesting shows that you want us to cover. Keep those coming in. We appreciate that.
Indeed. That was a welcome surprise. It made me actually view the Cloak and Dagger. So we might cover that. So, okay. Until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
See everybody next week for the finale of Season 2 of Legion. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com, where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2018.